Well, what do you know? It looks like Episode 7 of Halo was as important to the plot as Captain Marvel was to Endgame, which is to say, it wasn't at all. Which makes me so glad I didn't really do a traditional review of that episode. Episode 7 moves the plot forward into the final. And after how it ended, oh boy, I really wonder what this final's gonna be like. The show has already done tremendous damage to itself and the way the public perceives it, but if it can land a decent final, then maybe people will tune into the next season. Oddly enough, this is the biggest divergence in canon yet from this episode, yet it was also the most interesting because it changes a lot of things going forward. Master Chief, in an attempt to win Maki over to the human side, removes her from containment and takes her to the park where they begin to walk in some beautiful scenery. Maki gets to see a side of humanity she never got to see before in her harsh upbringing with both the humans and the Covenant. And she and Chief feel the connection they share together with whatever like's going on with the gene and the artifacts. The thing is, they relate to each other, which means it's only a matter of time before they bang. That's right, Master Chief fires a Mac cannon into her Halo ring. Oh wait, I jumped the gun. Before that happens, the Covenant attack a human planet, and Master Chief convinces Parandowski and Keyes that they should let Maki touch the artifact so they can track the one that was stolen. So finally we get to see some desperation in this war where we haven't seen it this entire series. That alone right there is a major failure, but at least we're finally setting that up and establishing that fact, but it's kind of too late. By now, so many people have tuned out of this show and don't even care. They have written it off. Anyway, the important thing is Chief trusts Maki and believes she can be convinced to help humanity and that humanity is ultimately good. Now let's get back to the sex. Man, they touch each other's scars and they're kissing and they're, oh my. All while Cortana is watching the whole thing. Holy fucking crap. So anyways, after sex, she has an opportunity to kill Master Chief with her blade finger, but doesn't. Instead, she goes to the sink and rips the implant right out of her finger. Ugh, it was nasty. But it also mirrors Chief removing the pellet. You know, the pellet I really hate. But hey, we get some good George Lucas pottery. So, Cortana tells Halsey about what happened, and she feels like she can use this to her advantage. For you see, she's been plotting something this entire time since she lost her position. So she contacts Maki privately in her chamber and tries to convince her that humanity will ultimately use Halo for their own means, and that the best option would be to convince John to allow her to get the artifact. She then says something in the conversation that she finds reminiscent to the Covenant doctrine, and she tunes her out. This suggests that John has done a great job at convincing her that his side is right, and that humanity is right. Now this is where shit gets crazy. Using a secret channel, she contacts the 3 other Spartans to secure John, Makee, the artifact, and go after the UNSC leadership. Wait, what the furthermore, she tells Cortana that she will ultimately take over Master Chief's body, just like what was originally intended. Spartan Kai, who had removed her pellet in a previous episode, begins to question Halsey's orders, so she has the other Spartans turn on her and restrain her. Cortana tips Chief off about the ambush, so he tells Makee to leave. She runs to go get help. Vanek and Riz attack Chief, without his armor of course, giving them the complete advantage in this fight, but Chief actually handles his own. Cortana also helps by giving Chief tactical information like she does in the games. She also hijacks a Warthog at one point. I didn't even know Warthogs had computers in them. Anyway, the fight scene is really cool, but of course, ultimately, Chief starts to lose the fight, and then Spartan Kai comes to assist. All while Makee is trying to warn the UNSC leadership about what's going on. She's partially successful, as leadership is able to track down Halsey and surround her ship where her and Creepy Doctor are waiting to extract the artifact and Master Chief. But as she is doing this, freaking Miranda comes in with evidence that she slaughtered the crew on the UNSC ship, and despite knowing she was already working for the Covenant, the leadership is now no longer willing to work with Makee. They begin to beat her with a stun baton as flashbacks to her childhood come back. This, alongside what Halsey told her, causes her to go back to the Covenant side. Despite her newfound feelings for Master Chief, she touches the artifact and the whole base gets knocked down. Like literally everyone gets pushed in a shockwave. Her and John get sent back to Halo again, where she tells him she's sorry. What's gonna happen next? We'll have to wait and see, but I'm actually looking forward to see what happens next, and hopefully they stick the landing. This was definitely like, you know, I normally get mad when like they do all these cannon breaks and stuff, but now things are actually getting interesting, and I want to see where this goes. This show has a lot of bad, and I'm not going to forgive it for a lot of its bad mistakes. But what the hell, I'm reviewing it. I want to see where it goes. If we don't get any Fall of Reach next episode, I'm going to be so mad. This is like the perfect time, the perfect way to end the season. So next season we can get to Halo. Ultimately, I think this is actually one of the best episodes. The prospect of Chief having sex is kind of ridiculous and funny at the same time. And this twist of Halsey becoming a full villain is, well, it's funny. I didn't really see this coming. This is pretty wild, and it really opens the door for a lot of different things. I really like. I'm curious. I'm just glad this show didn't really go in the direction where they were setting up the UNSC to be like the ultimate bad guys, or maybe trying to make the Covenant look good. I mean, they still made the UNSC look really shit, but like, things could have been a lot worse. And this whole thing with Halsey betraying the UNSC, like, holy cow, what is going to go on with this? I had a lot of fun watching this episode and making this review, more so than previous episodes and previous reviews. I hope you all also enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time for the final episode. One more thing I liked about this episode: the Halo 1 pistol.